I'm muted, chat. I'm muted. So is Sharang, but we are no longer muted. And what we're actually doing is we're talking about the exciting things that we have going on in the coming weeks in RPGs, from Night's Black Agents to all of Sharang's other projects. And as we close at the end of this, we're going to talk about some of the amazing things that Sharang has going on and that we want you to check out in the tabletop community. But with that said, Sharang, let the audience know this is your first time on the prep show. They might have seen you in the actual play episodes. They might know you as an award-winning game designer. Drop it in chat. Go ahead and let them know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Sharang Biswas. On the show, I play Antal Khoury, a Lebanese-Hungarian ex-spy who does not like Cambridge University and really likes drinking coffee in passive-aggressive ways. But in real life, I'm a game designer, writer, and artist based in New York City. I'm also a professor, not a full professor, I'm an adjunct professor. And yeah, I make cool games, and I've now known Grant for like, what, 3-4 years now? We were talking about this recently. We're like, wow, it's been a couple of years, Grant. We've been friends for years now. So, yeah, and I'm excited to be on the... I accidentally watched a little bit of the prep show and then decided I didn't want to watch more of it because I'm like, no, I'll be surprised. So, yeah, it's my first major interaction with the prep show.
It's interesting, though. I will know when it comes to... And I actually respect Sharang doing that, because Sharang, coming from the LARP culture where you already know all the secrets. You are protecting these secrets.
I was in a LARP once where we had a whole workshop that Eric Merceman had designed. It was the LARP Beat Generation by Maury Brown. It was about the luminaries of the Beat Generation coming together in New York. I played Allen Ginsberg, of course. And then we had a whole workshop about how to deal with secrets in a LARP. And the whole workshop was about how do you spread the secret as much as possible? Because a secret that no living person knows about in the game, what's the point? Like, what are you going to do with it? It doesn't affect the game in any way. You're just like, aha, a secret. You know what I mean? So
I think you just described my entire high school existence. A bunch of secrets that didn't matter, no one knew. No one will know who I have a crush on, but everybody knew. The signs were there. So I'm actually doing a quick update of some of our bit.ly links, but these streams are sponsored by Pelgrane Press. They are our wonderful sponsor for this, and if you look on their website, you can see some pamphlets and clues about the campaign. There's actually this week there's going to be a playbill of the Dragoy opera, and there's actually going to be a secret note in the playbill for our players. I'm going to send their way from someone they had met in the campaign previously. So, Sharang, I want to talk with you about your character and your readings of the dossier and some of the clues you've come up with over the course of the campaign. For those that watch these prep shows, you know we like to bring on a cast member. We like to talk about some of their discoveries within the fictional play space of the world. And so let's do that now. I have a Google Doc up to our side where you can see my notes. Then after maybe the first half of talking through the game with Sharang, we show how I can take the information he gives me and then help craft it into the next adventure. And there's also a little bit about that vampire ballet we have to work on. So let's start talking about the clues.
Yeah. So one thing, a couple of things that I'm totally interested in, right? So we know he's a chemist. So he's actually really interested in, because we handed the serum that makes a jack, right? We handed that over to someone, so he is really keen on learning more about that and what Edom is doing, because remember, he doesn't like vampire stuff much, and the fact that Edom is using vampire blood to make these things that is also psychologically damaging to his people, that's not okay. He is not super happy with that.
In your estimation, what do you think Edom's real goal is?
World domination? No, I don't know. So Edom, based on the book and like what we've learned so far, wants to make Dracula an asset. I think their real goal is probably you know the whole idea of like they want to be a crime busting like thing in the world that will stop all crime, but in a way that might not be ethical. Like they don't care about for them like the greater good is more paramount, right? That like if we can stop crime in the world. Oh, it doesn't matter if a few people die or if vampires run rampant a little bit. Like what we're worried about is stopping more like crime. I think that's their like thing. So in the end, they want to be like a global like police force or a secret service thing that can control and stop bad people. You know, that's what I think they're aiming for.
All right, so I'm taking some notes here. So just that you question Edam's lack of ethics. Now they are primarily UK based, from what we know, based on the clues, but we have seen them in other parts of the world. Yeah. Have you seen any clues that perhaps maybe there's other government agencies that have their own vampire programs?
Well, not entirely related to that, but slightly related. I'm really interested in the church and what's happening in Belgium, which is not a vampire program, but it's the vampire hunting program kind of thing. Because, you know, we met the guy in the Vatican, and then in Romania, they came and helped us at the dig site. You know, the really traumatic dig site for Antal. That's going to keep haunting him forever. So, like, I'm really interested in that. Like, what are they doing? What are they up to? That is interesting. I didn't actually think about the fact that other countries could also be doing things with vampires. And I would imagine the allies of Britain, who are probably, you know, the allies like spy on each other a lot, right, to know what they're all doing. Like the major allies of Britain might have an inkling about this program, and we know that the Earth Institute in Romania had something like Edam has links there, so it's very possible to imagine that there have been leaks of this vampire information to other governments, and that they're doing something about it. Like some of the Eastern European governments probably have some vampiric ties and things.
And you have at least one lead to Germany.
Yes, we do have a lead to Germany, and we also have leads to Germany from the books, right? We have the Death House that I was interested in, not Death House, Dead House, sorry, and then the art museums that were interesting, that I was curious about. Those things could be interesting too. And also, didn't we say that the town in Romania is on the border of Hungary? So like, Hungary involved somehow, because it's this like, you know, Hungary-Romanian like thing. So, but yeah. But I'm really interested in what's happening in Belgium with the school, and I'm also, though we left the Scholomance and we're not going back to the Scholomance anytime soon because we are worried about our heat, but Antal is really interested in the Scholomance because we didn't go in, right? We just quickly went in and left, and that's a lead that we still need to follow up, but we need to do some preparations about how to beat those huge brutish things.
Yeah, the Cerniatis, the audience would be familiar with them. The irradiated giants that were guarding the Scholomance. On the inside as well. So we have like a strong lead, you know, learning more about the Seaward Serum, who was given to, what it does exactly, and what it's going to come back with. Are there any other objects you found that you think warrant more investigation or following up about them?
I mean, the kit that we stole, which that was a really fun moment, stealing the kit, is really cool, and you know it belonged to Van Helsing, right? And that would be a lead interested in following up, like the real Van Helsing, following up, all that stuff. Also, like using the blood to go back to that, the serum, sorry, to actually go back to what Edam is up to could be interesting. The earthquake machine, we don't really know what's up with that. Like we found it, and why did we give it back? Because they were threatening us and stuff. Like, so we gave it back. Like, what is all that about? Like, how is that linked to Dracula at all? Like we know it's linked to the Earth Institute, which is linked to Edom, but what is happening with this earthquake machine? That's a big major thing. Because that's another thing. Like if Edom has the power to just cause earthquakes randomly, that's not okay, you know.
And spoilers, they unfortunately do. And and your characters know that from being in NIEP. They're setting off these earthquakes. One was being set off in the Skolomance, and the other one was being set off at a location that you identified could be Castle Dracula. Now, your character has gone through a lot of hard traumatic events and emotional stress. One of our goals is to have your Solus replaced. What do you think that would look like in the fiction? Like fictionally, how do you think it would play out as a scene, a side scene? We draw upon an NPC. I'm curious what you think would be the most fulfilling and satisfying way.
I don't know, so one of the things I'm building up is this idea that Antal is relying more and more on Jess's character, on Jisoo, because he lost his Solus, and he's like, well, who else do I know for a long time? Jisoo, right? And Jisoo and Lily saved me, but Lily is less dependable because, you know, I haven't known her for as long, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's interesting. But as an NPC Solus, I don't like. One thing that Sharang is really interested in games is romances with NPCs.
Yeah, me as well.
You know this for a long time, and so even my first game with you ever, right? My grandma had like lots of ex-husbands and ex-lovers and things like that, right?
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so and had lots of children scattered around the world that you didn't know about. But I mentioned that, so like the whole club scene that we had last time was really interesting because it was really cool to like let Antal let his hair down for a bit, and then he ended up like going home with some rando, just random Korean dude. Something romance like could be interesting. It also feeds into the trope of spy movies, right? Like in The Bourne Identity, he has this woman who he falls for and stuff. That could be interesting. I don't think it would. Yeah, that could be interesting. It could also be, I don't know, maybe someone in the Vatican. I mean, he's not a religious person, but like
Father Dodonna or someone like that.
Right? These are old vampire hunters. You know, could be interesting. I'm actually really keen on like some like a romantic interest could be something interesting. That also means that they would have to be in the dark, maybe for at least part of it. And what does that mean? Like, should they be in the dark? Are they in danger because of that? You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think what we should probably think about is maybe narrowing it down to, as an NPC, the top 3, because it's going to have to be an NPC. And it might even be someone like when you're worried about like your PC supports, this is the person you need to reach out to. The equivalent of trying to think of someone in the game industry. It's like, who do I reach out to when I need? Who's my Solus? It's you, Sharang.
When I'm upset about things, I often talk to Evan Turner or Kat Jones. I'm like, terrible thing. Or John Stavropoulos, often.
The great John Stavropoulos. So on a panel with John, it's just like, you're really smart. He has this like trash weasel Grant Ellis on it at the side of him. He's saying all these deep, profound things. I'm just like, you're really smart. I doesn't wear my cheap suit jacket and my pink dress shirt. Just like, hey.
Stavropoulos is very smart and a very good listener and like pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, I'm proud to have cooked him a vegan dinner once.
Oh, very nice. Now, we've talked about replacing the Solus and sort of narrowing down the 3, and we've talked about some of these. The scope of the artifacts which you have are pretty intense. Like, the actual mechanical benefits to many of the things in the vampire hunting kit, and it's okay if we say this because we can talk about the meta. I mean, it's really designed to kill vampires, who are very hard to kill. Likewise, you know, even a trip to Belgium to do a full analysis on it Maybe even some supplements. They're like, oh, well, this is the 1893 model. Let's show you what we're using in 2020. Ha ha!
Yeah, and of course the book, right? We have this really
Le Dragon Noir.
yeah, epic banned rare text. Like, I'm gonna keep looking at it and learning more because obviously the week that we spent looking at that was not nearly enough, right?
No, however, mechanically, spoilers. If you were in the Scholomance for an hour, you would have had the ability to absorb the entire thing. So it's one of those things, and I got nervous about it. I was like, I wonder if they're going to unlock the entire Le Dragon Noir while they're in here. Turns out giants hit really hard. Really, really hard.
And we had to bodily carry our comrades out of them.
That was intense. That was a good episode.
I definitely, when we level up next, I'm definitely gonna put more points in my hand to hand, even though I'm a really high hand to hand, because I really like the image of Antal doing like crazy martial arts stuff.
Outmaneuvering the giants, then knocking them out with a jumping.
And he just got beaten up like 2 or 3 times. Not beaten up, but like outclassed a bit. So he's probably gonna be training really hard. Be like, oh my god, this is what we're up against.
I just realized on the overlay it currently says you're the boss. You're not the boss. Jess is the boss. Let me see if I can update it really quick.
Yeah.
To say Sharang is... There we go. You are the prince. Sorry, because you were pretending to be a prince in the last episode. There we go. Fix our titles.
The Jordanian prince. I have these 2 covers now. I love it.
Speaking of, or sort of along with that, so what party relationships? Is there a member of the party you want to get to know better and to learn more about their past and who they are as a person? Because
I definitely think Jisoo, right? Because of this emotional attachment that's developing between them. Like, I trust Jisoo more because I've worked with her in the past. But I don't know very much about it, right? She was untraceable. The first time I ever met her was in Morocco, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
hey Jisoo, is it awkward that I'm doing this? And I asked Jess, sorry, is it awkward that I'm doing this? And Jess like, no, okay, great.
Look, just let me mother you, Sharang. Or be a parent.
It's the first time I'm playing a character that's so, in some ways, like needy, right? Like have this trauma, and then they're being very affected by it, which is kind of interesting.
So, and I know you don't have very long left here, but if you had a goal other than survive fighting vampire ballerinas, if you had a goal for the next session that Antal was looking to accomplish, what do you think what would that look like?
Looking to accomplish. Okay, well, apart from murdering that lady because she's awful, I would say he would be very interested in, like, now that we're like the mid-season, like, take the fight a step further, like establishing contact with the Vatican's militia, an empire thing. Like now we're making, you know how in like fantasy novels the heroes start off alone and then partway through they then gain allies and can actually do things. With these allies, like something like that would be one, or the solace, like dealing with the solace and dealing with his trauma thing would be another. One of those 2.
All right, this is really good because we mentioned earlier that, you know, some of the clues and leads, we need to get to Belgium at some point. Like, we have that lead, it's been hanging out and dangling for maybe 6 episodes. It's kind of like Gibraltar. And I really like the idea, especially for those that watch the show. We talked about the capstone, like, when we hit the final leg, it's like, what does it look like as we start to bring the campaign to the end? And I'm like, yeah, he's going to need a vampire fighting militia. Because it gets scary. I looked at it, I was like, wow, yeah, that's really intense. They're going to need a lot of...
Romance with a Vatican-sponsored vampire hunter? Ooh.
Vampire Hunter Romance. That's what we need. That's like the name of my goth band in high school. Vampire Hunter Romance. We wore black lipstick and little red roses.
Romance, the sequel to Twilight.
Well, I know you've got to go, and this is very helpful, though, so we'll just do a quick recap in the final minute that we have here. You know, learning more about the components of the C-word serum and exactly what it does, as well as kind of the broader scope to, you know, if Edom lacks ethics, we really need to start proving that and figure out, you know, what is the sinister end goal for them, or if there is no sinister end goal, clearly Dracula has one. We should go and we need to get to Belgium, and we need to visit the vampire hunting program because we've had that lead. We have a couple of artifacts and maybe learning more about why Edom is using earthquake machines, and are there any other deeper secrets in the vampire hunting kit. And then our goals for the next session is to, we mentioned get to Belgium, but maybe even possibly replacing the Solus. You know, there will probably be the vampire hunter romance option. And then for party relationships, deepening the relationship with Jisoo. So, Sharang, go ahead and give your plugs before we let you go. And then...
Sure. So like I said, I'm Sharang Biswas. On Twitter, I am at Sharang Biswas. And you can also find me on itch under Astrolingus. And you can find me on Drive for RPG with a few things under Sharang Biswas. Yeah, so a couple of things I'm working on. I'm on the design team for D&D Live's reality RP thing that's happening next weekend. I urge you to check that out. They brought together a cool, diverse team of designers and a diverse team of performers, and all that is going to charity supporting Red Nose Day, which is a very broad umbrella of helping children. So I think that's really cool. So check that out. I'm on the design team, and I wrote a lot of the single-player content. And if you know me, you know I wrote a lot of queer single-player content. So if you want to read queer D&D stuff, check that out. I'm actually pretty proud of being on that team. And I always like giving a plug. We're in the final stages of layout design for Honey and Hot Wax, an anthology of erotic art games, which Pelgrane Press is also publishing, coming out later this summer. We don't know the exact date yet. But that is an anthology of LARPs and tabletop role-playing games, though more LARPs, about sex and sexuality. We're really proud of that. We got 2 grants to make this book. The mandate of the project was to bring in a diverse team and to be able to pay the artists, designers, writers, everything a market rate, a fair rate, which is why we have the grant. So I encourage you to check that out. You can pre-order it on the Pelgrane website when you go, after you pre-order the Dracula Dossier, of course. You can pre-order that, or just check it out and see if it's something you're interested in. But thank you for having me on the prep show, Grant.
Well, we have to have you on another one to play some flashbacks or some side scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, the Vampire Hunter romance. That'll be a fun one. So I'm going to switch back to the loading screen while we switch Sharang out and load me to the next one. But Sharang, thank you as always. All right, so they can no longer hear Sharang, but Sharang, thank you so much. I'm going to do a quick change of the overlay on my side, and you are free to run off to your next obligation. For those of you in chat, I dropped a bunch of links. Do check them out. These links are for the various Pelgrane products we've been talking about today. And for this next portion, I'm going to show some of the way we're going to prep Sharang's leads. Give me just a second as I adjust the cameras on my end. Sharang's saying nice things. He's very nice and phenomenal. So, let me move some of this stuff down. I think I can come back. I'm back. Hello, everyone. Punched in a little closely, but let's set up the. We're gonna add Adobe Acrobat and talk about some of these things. The biggest thing that we need to look at is Belgium, the Belgium connection. That's going to be in the Director's Handbook of the Dracula Dossier. So I am moving Adobe Acrobat to where it is in a portion where it's easy to use. And let's add that to the overlay. add. We're going to add a window capture. I'm going to add Acrobat. And we're going to sort of expand it here. Drop it beneath the overlay. Ta-da! So, let's look up Belgium and see what we can find. So there's going to be some Van Helsing references there. Yeah, there's going to be... I think there's going to be a lot to do. So, the Archdiocese of Mechlin-Brussels. This is what Sharang's referring to. And let's take a look at some of this, because I find it interesting. There might be something useful here. So, the apparent nature is the Roman Catholic Archdiocese in Belgium also provides spiritual guidance to the Catholic community in the Netherlands. Let's skip. During Van Helsing's lifetime, Mechlin still played an unofficial role in Dutch Catholic bureaucracy. Priests, nuns, lay brothers, and other employees is large and varied. Not terribly difficult to infiltrate. They offered, in the 1890s, special indulgences to vampire hunters, or at least Van Helsing, wishing to use the host, which is part of the Catholic sacrament. Excuse me. My keys are upsetting me. So it was largely covered up. They might be working for Edom. So if they are working for Edom, they use the cathedral for dead drops. So if we want, we can introduce more Edom influence. Or they might be part of the conspiracy. The constant profaning of the host eventually allowed the undead access to the cathedral. In one horrific night, when exactly, it's up to the director, vampires slaughtered and replaced the staff with some of the priests of their own kind. So vampire priests. Renfielding those who begged for their lives. The cathedral is no longer holy ground, using human terrain. During a mass, notice the slightly aberrant wording of the liturgy. The conspiracy has kept this foothold in the church ever since, isolating, tempting, and flipping the archbishops and other officials the Vatican assigns here. Level 3 or level 4 node, so that refers to our vampyramid, and a steady source of poison inside the Belgian establishment, including the gross ring, and inside the church. Criminology might trace some connections back. So here are some things that are connected to it. Van Helsing. They might have been anti-communist. There might be some MI6 agents connected to it. Let's grab that. So we're going to remove Acrobat for a second. And let's talk about Belgium. And let's talk about how we want to position it. So in Belgium, these are some people that we might find here. The lamplighter. And we'll pull some of these up. If the covert traffic and host continues, there might be connections to Van Helsing's possible successors in the B&D. The B&D is going to be tied to the dead house. Such customers might also buy garlic from Vanderpool's. Yeah, I don't think we need to involve the Ambrosius like aliens. Sorry. If the director is using telluric vampires, page 59, or similar, or wishes to keep supernatural questions hauntingly unresolved, that's what we want to do. 1 point spend and notices a large dust-covered jar approximately half full of bluish powder. It's labeled Alexander von Helsing. Testing with geology and chemistry identifies the mineral only as meteoric iron, so it's a space rock. Lyndon's papers still stored in the church's office under seal, given his troublesome activities. They could replace the seal without breaking it. And we can include the correspondence of the meteorite of last Easter. So we can point to space rocks, which I think space rocks might be tied to Dracula in this. "90-degree crosses if the stone is cut correctly. Are there any meteoric iron with Widmanstätten line works as a vampiric block, or if it must be cross-cut from a meteor that fell on Easter's up to the director? The answer, if there is one, may appear in Eden files in the Asylum, or the Ring, or in Van Helsing's original files." And there is reference to this Cushing number 154, so let's take a look and see exactly what Cushing said. And let's look at some of these. So, first up, let's, I'll scroll down for you all. So this refers to Dracula Unredacted, and there's going to be a line. First things first. Let's look at some of these NPCs that might be there, because they're going to end up there. MI6 lamplighter. A network contact still inside. So this person, he's a spotter, retriever, setter of dead drops. So essentially this is someone who's watching dead letter drop operations. Could be working for Edom. Could be a Hopkins. I believe Hopkins is the current author. We'll double check. And if you have watched our other ones, we've tried to get who is Hopkins answered. Now, because of the current setup, you can't see what I'm doing. Yes. Oh, there we go. Let me show you. Taking notes. All right, let's see the Romania desk. Desk analyst. Ta-da! Alexander Tarber. Prefers to work through signal intelligence. Already might have ties. That's the thing, all these. He's carrying on an affair with a Romanian girl named Lucia. Has files on darn near everyone. Wow. Could be Hopkins as well. That's the thing. We're getting to the point where we're going to find an individual that actually leaked the dossier. So that's what we need to figure out, is whether or not... Let's see what we have on 98. Retired asset runner. Eugene Dragos. Expert on the mole hunt. Could be a mentor. Portly and bald. So, yeah, the asset runner's really big. It would help if I clicked on the right things. So we come over. Hopkins equals lamplighter or Romania desk analyst. Asset runner is hopefully this hugely important. So this is going to be a main figure in the game. We've already talked about how we're setting up the capstones. So, Dragos. He's been an Eden man since he was 6 years old. When he was 15, while other boys were at boarding school, talked about it, what they do when the Soviet bombs fell. Dragos worried about a plague of vampires swarming out of Romania and devouring the teeming millions of England. Ran Edam's operations under MI6 cover. He was always on the militant wing of Edam, believing that Dracula and his line were too dangerous to be allowed to survive. The only way to use a vampire was to keep it under strict control. Edam cut him loose in the 1990s. A difference of opinion. Yep. If maybe he is with... So he's... looks like either an innocent... I like the innocent... Yeah, not too interested in that. Could be a minion. So. Could be a minion. Could have been the actual mole. Interesting. Couple different... Yeah, there's a number of references to him all throughout the book in Dracula Unredacted. I think we're going to need to look these up. I think these are going to be... So we're going to paste those document references over. Helps if I don't turn that off and I turn the right thing off. Boom. So yeah, most of them were written by Cushing. One of them, it looks like, was written by Van Sloan. Likewise. Let's go back. So there's going to be a lot going down in Belgium, it looks like. And I think we should introduce either the desk analyst or the lamplighter. We could also introduce both by having them mixed up. Yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't think we're gonna go. So now let's look at the next thing. So I think we're pretty good with Belgium, so they're going to have to find Michelin, learn about illegal religious vampire hunting trade, find meteoric rock, find 1 or 2 NPC leads. So that's a major one, and they could go other directions. There's a couple different ways it could go deep on Edom. I think the lamplighter might be Hopkins, though. I like the Romania desk analyst as well. I'm going to look at both of them after the prep stream and use that to sort of help propel us into the right direction, because both characters would be interesting, but this is a major moment. So let me come back here. And we'll have Hopkins reveal. Hopkins is the one that leaked the dossier to the agents. So I'll scroll down so you can see, because our dimensions are a little off. Hopkins is the one who leaked the dossier. So that's sort of a major event. And it has to be meaningful for the player, so in order to do that, we might need to build up Hopkins, or maybe someone here can point them to that lead. So let's move into the next phase of prep, and we're going to look at the Edom files. So let me pull them up. So the last game we were in, this is it. It's ballet. The last session we were using portions inspired by the Blood Coda, which originally takes place in 1971, but we're setting it modern day. Main reason because I don't think my players are too inclined to play in a one-shot. I think they would prefer to play with their current characters. So let's check out Blood Coda and sort of see where we're at in the story. Page 58. So the book gives you very good art direction. They ask you to look up the original Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, look at set decorations from productions like The Red Shoes or Phantom of the Opera. If we want to see how Covent Garden looked, look at Hitchcock Frenzy. But the thing is, for us and our purposes, that music is too loud. For us and our purposes, we're setting it in modern day, so it would be set modern day. But I think it is important to capture some of the stage production. So let's review some of the key personnel, just so when we portray their characters next week, we can portray them very well. These are people. So, Iliana Dragoy is one. The bride. Was born Mihaela Christosu in 1917. Before the war, she was a prima ballerina in the Romanian State Ballet. The company shut down during the war. She joined the resistance against the government. Her appearance in 1942 caused little surprise among her Confederates. Most assumed she'd been captured and died in captivity. When Mihaela's daughter, Iliana, surfaced in 1959, she was welcomed as a prodigy by the State Ballet and quickly began taking on leading roles. She refused photographs and interviews on the grounds that they distracted her from her art. She's a vampire, so she doesn't show up in photos. Her company developed a reputation for its principal dancer's speed and athleticism. With only 29 years of unlife, Iliana does not yet have the bonuses of older Lydian assigns. So, she does have some of these abilities. Yeah, there's our vampire ballet photo. I do need to take a look at her abilities. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to snip this out and add it to our prep. She casts no shadow. Yep. I'm actually going to lower this to like 18 so we can see more. Things we need to look at are some of these final scenes and make sure that people might notice that yeah, she's got some scenes coming up. Let's check out those scenes and sort of get to where we are more or less. The principals. These are just Renfielded dancers. Daria Ivanova. Iliana began cultivating her. Only after successfully dosing Daria with her blood and observing the results did Iliana embark on forming her own company. Daria is the firstborn, and the closest thing she has to a daughter. She plays Magda in Strigoi. Martin was considered too old for leading roles in the Romanian State Ballet. Dances very young. He plays the Duke's son. Stella is the company's youngest newest. Unlike the others, she joined Ballet Brasov immediately after completing her training with private teachers. She plays the fiancée bride in Strigoi. Dennis wishes he could be Iliana's lover. Instead, he is settled for cultivating a flirtation with Stella. His smoldering eyes reveal his true passion as they follow Iliana's movements. He plays the king in Strigoi. Alright. They have powers like summoning. The doctor is someone that they're dealing with. The rest of the core are not as essential. So let's jump to where we are in this. So we've actually gone through the beginning. We did the student spy. That's where we had the silly. She's called Mabel here, and she's a character in the director's handbook, but we've been calling her Margot, and we made her a younger, bookish character. And they've already investigated the warehouse. They've gone through the halls of power. They're at the reception currently, and right now they are kind of behind the scenes. And we've made some modifications where they are in the basement investigating. Dr. Lupin. And they already were notified by a stagehand that there is trouble. Trouble on the horizon. So, if we want to learn more about the blood supply, then they'll have to meet this man. So, we'll sort of add this. So, players start in confrontation with Dr. Lupin. The lead-ins from that are the inside man, so they may go to Company Pier 34. Do. That's essentially more or less what they're doing. I think everyone here, they're going to find out that they have some sort of like vampire disease. So they're going to find a warehouse. They'll have to get into a confrontation with Quentin Watson, who was being watched earlier. So he's going to try to escape the country with Iliana. So, let's see. I'll sort of explain. So, Quentin Watson was a government official. Save the dancers. Leads to Watson. Ooh, excuse me. Either captured or killed. He is under Iliana's spell. And for those of you that this may seem like jarring prep, we're just kind of jumping into this. The players are in the middle of a scene currently. And they have a bunch of goals. That's why we talked about Belgium and planning what will be there. But the first half of the session is largely going to be working through and figuring out how to resolve this opera company. So let's look. They talked with a stagehand. They're going to be invited over to these docks, and they are going to engage a discussion with the stagehand. They just need to do some fancy talking to make sure they're there. So he essentially, he's an agent. And then he's going to be like, yeah, our lead dancer is a vampire. And it will not catch them off guard because the agents are well aware. People think it's stage blood, but it's not. They're actually biting each other. He's not too sure what an assign is, but they'll learn. He knows he's going to say where she sleeps. Give her a math. Her being Iliana, the chief vampire. So, in the book, these bold letters are what skills the players are going to use to get clues. An execution squad's going to happen. So let me show you what's going on. This is important. So we're talking with the inside man. Learn about vampires and assigns. Learn where Iliana sleeps. Execution squad. Fight. Because that is what it's going to be. There's going to be a speedboat coming in filled with 4 thugs who have a sniper rifle. They're gunning for Vasile. They're going to kill their new contact. They can chase the assassins. Yeah, that's going to be a deal. They're probably going to do that. So rats in a trap. So they have the location of Iliana's final box. And something's going to happen here. There are stagehands that are going to try to shut them in. So... Alright, type. Iliana has stagehands watching and willing to protect her and will attack the players with a swarm of vermin. Not bad, not bad. Agents can break down the door, while other agents must keep them free from the vermin. And they can either set a trap or hunt her down. So yeah, if they're going to fight her, they're going to have to fight her on stage. That'll be interesting. She will flee if one of her principals is killed or mortally wounded. The agents have her surrounded, or her principals are clearly losing. And the players are going to be able to decide if they want to capture or kill her. If they set a trap for her, setting a trap under the stage, hitting her with sandbags full of holy water, making an attack on Daria, forcing Iliana to choose between saving Daria or fighting the agents. Interesting. All leads to her last curtain call. This is a big one. She's gonna try to escape. If a fight breaks out, oh, this is gonna be sad, so fight or trap. Iliana. And then final confrontation. Fight against principals. Stage manager dies calling the police. And these are all people you would see from our last session. It's on YouTube. It's in WebDM Plays, where the party investigate this vampire ballet. So it's going to be a chase. They're going to have to do a chase across the city against her. Watson's going to try to meet her if he's still alive. And then we head into the aftermath. So there will be some loose threads. There will be things to do with the ballet. What is done with Iliana. They'll have to try to capture her. And if they do capture her, they have to figure out who they're going to deliver her to, Edom or someone else. They would have to cover up the involvement of the killer. Then they have a government official. If the government official dies, they're going to become... There's going to be a bunch of problem with a bunch of problem with the government official if he gets killed. That becomes very complicated. So let's talk about loose ends. I gotta click on the right window. Vampire. Capture or kill. Government official, this is Watson. Dragged to court. Dragged to court. Or kill. And then, hey, it's Dr. Olga. Let me... So we look at Adobe Acrobat. Like, this is Dr. Olga Lupin. And we have some good notes. She could be working against her will. It killed my my Zoom meeting. It says I was idle for 40 minutes, which I'm not okay with. So let me see if I can get myself back. Hey, there I am. It's a good thing my audio goes through multiple sources. It doesn't like that I'm in a Zoom meeting alone. But because I had opened Zoom prior to my broadcasting software, my camera can only accept one feed. So Dr. Lupin is a good person to point towards Edom's headquarters. I think that's what we're going to use her for. She's going to be a lead back to Edom headquarters, or if she was a minion, That might also be good. Having a minion. Yeah, Dracula's conspiracy got her as a phlebotomist. Maybe she... Yeah, maybe she, I'll have to make a decision on that. I like the idea that maybe she's working with Edom. I'm attempting to turn off Acrobat. All right. So, yeah, let me put this here, and then Olga things. Let me just Olga things. I'm just gonna write some notes. So, with Edom, she can point to Edom's HQ. With her, draws serious Edom heat. Then we're gonna have some Iliana things. Dracula will seek immediate. Hi, Kai. Good to see you. Iliana things. Dracula will seek immediate retribution if one of the brides are killed or captured. And that's the thing, if they capture her, they'll have to figure out what to do. They'll either need to get in contact with the CIA's vampire program, the German B&D vampire program, or just turn her over to Edom. Yeah. I think what I need to do is, and this is a little work for me as we come to the close. So let's do a recap. For our Sharang conversation for Antal, learn more about the Seaward Serum. And I think Dr. Olga can maybe answering that. We'll see. Dr. Lupin has some answers and can help Antal test. Question Edom's lack of ethics. Yeah. They have a back alley phlebotomist draining blood from dancers. If we go to Belgium, you get to meet Hopkins. So Hopkins is a key figure. So when you look at the written Dracula Unredacted, Hopkins is taking all the most recent notes. I think the vampire hunting kit, some of the information, I think it's going to lead to the reveals why Belgium is having issues. I think there's probably Belgium's probably going to be overrun. I can't necessarily answer the earthquake devices now, the devices that cause earthquakes. And we'll work on replacing the Solus. I think it'll be a Belgian person, or it might even be Hopkins. We're going to work on setting up a scene to deepen the relationship with Jisoo, so that we can have some character roleplay. Back and forth, deepen those character relationships. Then Sharang's goal is getting in contact with the other vampire fighting forces. And we're also going to have the setup and reveal that, you know, vampires seem to be tied to meteorites and alien rocks that land. We'll reveal Hopkins. It's probably going to be the Lamplighter, could be the Romania desk analyst. The Lamplighter essentially watches for dead letter drops. And we can meet the leader of the mole hunt if we want to. And what we know now is... we'll add these notes. Iliana loves Daria and will compromise to protect her. Protect her. We're currently in a confrontation with Dr. Lupin. Guns are drawn, and the players have an advantage. They're going to have an opportunity to save those dancers, and they can decide what they want to do with the doctor. If they kill her or cause harm to her, Edom will meet them with a vengeance. There will be retribution. They can meet the inside person who's possibly going to be assassinated. Then they have to figure out Iliana, and they're going to have to figure out both Olga things and Iliana things. So that's our prep this week. You know, hope you enjoyed it. It's a little scattered. But that's sort of how we're looking at it. We're in the middle of a published adventure, and it's going to lead out to other things, and it should finish strongly. So I think really what we need to do is figure out kind of the strong finish. And I think our leads out are Dracula or Edom, major pushback. You know, it was very important to Dracula that this vampire ballet persists through England. The players are essentially taking it out. That'll never happen. The players may do some meddling in Belgium. If they mess up with a major node, I think we're going to see a major, like, werewolf rebellion against the players. And it's about time for them to experience some major loss. With that said, thank you all for watching. Have an excellent evening. As always, we outro with the intro. My name's Grant Ellis. I'm the producer here for WebDM's Twitch channel. Do check out, if you're watching this on YouTube, the links below the video for links to the exciting Night's Black Agents projects, particularly the Dracula Dossier. If you're following us on Pelgrane Press, there's additional clues and props that their marketing team has made to help add to the fiction of the show. Tune in on Saturdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. And you can watch all this come together live with our cast of Lily, Jess, Pro, Sharang, and me. I think that's everyone. Alright, have a good day. Au revoir.
Bye.